So what is this neurosciences stuff? If we look up here at this slide, it lists a whole number of things. And just to give you that overview, of course, we're going to focus on Parkinson's disease, but there's other movement disorders that fall in that bucket. Stroke, seizures and epilepsy, memory disorders, Alzheimer's, dementia, all different forms, headaches, very common, we've all had them. Neurologic trauma, being the only level 1 trauma center on the west side of Michigan. Nerve and muscle disorders, you've heard of neuropathy. Back and neck conditions, and of course, brain and spine tumors. We're going to continue to develop neurosciences. Where we've had some significant success is developing movement disorders and Parkinson's disease. And what we're going to do today is bring out a couple of our experts who will be a panel here and answer hopefully a number of questions that you may be thinking of. One of the doctors is Dr. Ashoka Sriram, who joined us a few years ago to really start the development of Parkinson's disease clinic and that program. Dr. Sriram, like a number of neurologists, will do 4 years of neurology training and become a general neurologist first, but then do fellowship training where they actually do 2 specialty years focused on Parkinson's and movement disorder. And he came from a very well-known national program at the University of Florida. Following him was Dr. Ross Coleman, who will also be joining us tonight. And he did his neurology and followed that with 2 years of specialty work at the University of California, San Francisco. So very well known in their field, expert in their field because of their subspecialty training, and I hope you would join me in welcoming them to the stage. Welcome.
Brian. Thank you.
So, let's start with an overview of Parkinson's disease, which is really one of many movement disorders. And I'd ask Dr. Coleman, can you give the crowd a brief overview?
Sure. So, first of all, a movement disorder is either something that moves too much or, on the other hand, not enough. Parkinson's is a type of movement disorder in that it is mostly characterized by not enough movement, a slowed shuffling walk, decreased spontaneous arm and leg movements, decreased facial expression. But it can also sometimes have too much movement, a rhythmic shaking of the hand or the leg, which we call tremor. Now, Parkinson's itself is a condition of the brain, and it's a result of a loss of brain cells in a specific area deep in the brain. And these cells create a chemical called dopamine. And what dopamine does is it encourages and coordinates our natural movements, such as our stride length, our arm swing when we're walking, our facial expressions. And when enough of these cells are lost, and thus dopamine levels are decreased, this is when the typical symptoms of Parkinson's may arise. Now, Parkinson's, as a rule, is slowly progressive over time. We don't talk about Parkinson's in terms of days or weeks. We mostly talk about Parkinson's in terms of years. And despite this, symptoms do get worse over time, and new symptoms do arise.
That's true. So in terms of disease burden, what kind of a burden we have because of Parkinson's in the community? It's hard to believe there is about 1.2 million people living with Parkinson's in the United States. 30,000 of them in the state of Michigan do have Parkinson's disease, and the number is increasing. The estimate is that there are 60,000 new cases of Parkinson's, that are new diagnoses of Parkinson's every year in the United States. It's such a big number. To put in perspective, 1%, I mean 1 in every 100 individuals, I'm talking about in the population, over the age of 60 years have Parkinson's disease. Let me spin another way. You took up the Parkinson's community, every five people among that 100 are they're young. They have Parkinson's diagnosed before the age of 40 years. Sure, there is no cure, but definitely there is hope. There are some things that we can do as physicians. movement disorder neurologists to help their symptoms to improve quality of life.
Great point, Dr. Sriram. If you or someone you love is living with Parkinson's, we hope that you'll leave here tonight feeling empowered. Not only can you have a better quality of life with the right treatment, but people with Parkinson's can continue to live highly productive lives after diagnosis. I know that each of us up here have examples of our own patients doing incredible things after they were diagnosed. For example, tonight you're going to hear from Kirk Gibson. Not only did he have a successful and storied professional baseball career, but he's also now working a very busy schedule as a color commentator for the Detroit Tigers. I also have patients who are successful CEOs at large companies, patients who have cycled across the state of Michigan, patients who are active and involved grandparents, and patients who have taken up new hobbies and published books. It's possible to continue to live a good life after diagnosis, and what we find is that people who are highly motivated, in general, tend to do better. The key is taking charge, exercising, and seeing a neurologist who specializes in Parkinson's.